What is going on, guys? So today we are going to preview the Dallas Cowboys Week 11 matchup in Minnesota against the Vikings. And I know it's been at least a few days since I've recorded a video, and mostly just because it's been the bye week. I know Cowboys fans haven't been super interested in just coming in and watching extra content. So I just haven't really seen the purpose in making any, but we do have a game coming up this week, so I definitely want to get to talking about it. And later this week, I'm actually going to bring on one of my buddies who is not a YouTuber, but is a Minnesota Vikings fan, and his name's Steven, and that should be interesting. That'll be fun to talk to him, get to know this Vikings team a little better. And yeah, let's go and start out. So just to mention, we're coming off a bye week, so we've had an extra week to prepare for this game. The Vikings are coming off of a Monday Night Football performance where they won in a close, tough defensive battle. I didn't watch most of it. I'm filming this on Tuesday, so I know the Vikings won, but I don't know too much about what happened. I will say this, they finally kind of established what kind of team they are, and offensively, they got some firepower. I mean, Dalvin Cook is arguably the best running back in the NFL this year. I don't know if you could say he's the most talented, but you could definitely make that point, that argument, right? He's been really good. I think he's got like 1,000 yards halfway through the season. So he's just on pace to crush some records. And I've been really impressed with their offense just the past 3 weeks to turn around what was a losing season. It's kind of like what we've been waiting on the Cowboys to do, just what we've been, yet to produce. But I do want to bring up the Steelers game. I don't think we're going to be the same team as we were against the Steelers. One of those reasons is we lost Trayvon Diggs probably for the rest of the season. I've already mentioned that. Now, we are getting Chidobe Awuzie back this week, and that's going to be important, but we don't really know what we're getting from him, right? And the weird thing is, I could have sworn like 2 or 3 weeks ago I heard something about us getting Awuzie back. So it sounds like he's finally making his return against the Vikings, and we'll need him to play up to the level that Diggs was finally starting to perform to. And Awuzie is definitely capable of that, so we'll see what we get from him. But coming up against one of the best rush teams in the NFL, Cowboys defense is one of the worst in the NFL against the rush, and a lot of that is just because of personnel. We just don't have the guys up front at defensive tackle, the big bodies, to stop the run. Now, I definitely like what I saw from DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory stopping the run against the Steelers, and Neville Gallimore. And I hope he can continue to produce and get better. He's a rookie, so it's a big deal. And Gregory hadn't played him forever, so he might continue to improve as well. But we're not playing the Steelers this week. And obviously the Steelers are the only undefeated team in the NFL, but at the same time, we are playing a very potent, rush offense that they can run the ball better than the Steelers can. And Dalvin Cook is probably excited for this week's game. And it's going to be tough for us. So I don't see how we stop Dalvin Cook. Hopefully the linebackers continue to produce, get better. Hopefully safeties get better. Donovan Wilson has been playing more, and he's looked kind of like a starting safety. So hopefully he'll continue to help Xavier Woods out. The secondary is lacking depth right now because we cut Darryl Worley, even though I didn't consider him real depth anyway. He kind of sucked. And we also lost Diggs due to injury. So we're down to, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, and Chidobe Awuzie, unless I'm forgetting someone out of our starter group. Now, if I talk about the one thing we can attack with this Vikings team is one, if you could stop the run, Kirk Cousins isn't this out-of-the-world quarterback. He's really good when they can run the ball efficiently, and he can effectively use play action, and then all of a sudden he's got some weapons that he can get the ball to. Now, if you could shut down that run game, which is much easier said than done, I don't think we can, then you can irritate Kirk Cousins, you can get to him, put him on his back, and he is prone to turn the ball over in those situations and just not be too accurate, too great in general. But when he's using that play action, man, he's got some good receivers. Thielen is still really good receiver in this league. We got Justin Jefferson, who is at the top of his game as a rookie. Man, he's looking really good this season. He's been their best receiver, to be completely honest. But they also got Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith Jr. tight ends, and Dalvin Cook's not a bad pass catcher. So he's got plenty of weapons there. But the one thing is defensively, the Vikings aren't all that great. They're really not good at stopping the run. They're a little better than we are at stopping the run, but they're not great at it, right? So if there's one game where Zeke just stepped up and had a big game, it could be against the Vikings because they're not great at getting pressure and they're not great at stopping the run. And Zeke's due for a big game. So this is one of those games you got to look back at the end of the season and say, okay, he struggled some because our offensive line was bad. He was pressing. But when we played teams that weren't great at stopping the run and he had opportunities, which I think he will this week, how'd he look there? So hopefully Zeke steps up, has a big game. We know Andy Dalton isn't very good under pressure, but this should be one of the few games this year where he isn't under immense pressure. And if he is, we have some problems. But if the offensive line holds up like they did against Pittsburgh, I think we'll be okay. And I think Andy Dalton will be okay. Do I think we'd be better off starting Garrett Gilbert against the Vikings? Yeah, 100%. I think we should ride the wave. I think he showed a little bit of an it factor, and I think you have to ride that until it proves otherwise. Until he proves, okay, maybe it was a fluke, maybe it was just a fluke game, and he's not that good. But I'm not expecting Andy Dalton to go out and play great. I'm just kind of expecting him to be average because that's what I think he really is at this point. Now, this may be one of his better games on the season just because, like I said, the Vikings aren't great at getting pressure, and a lot of that is because they lost Everson Griffin, who we happened to trade for basically nothing. But it was different Everson Griffin. He was one of the better players on the defense in Minnesota, and they had a tough defensive line. It wasn't just Griffin. This year, they kind of revamped that defensive line. They brought in Yannick Ngakoue from the Jags. I believe he is leading the team with like 4 sacks. So he's not all-world or anything, but he's an okay pass rusher. I think our offensive line, if they kind of show up like they did at home against Pittsburgh, I think the offensive line might hold up okay in Minnesota. Now, is cold weather going to play a factor, that sort of thing? Who knows? And I'm not too sure how Dalton plays in cold weather. If it's cold, I guess we're going to find out. To me, it's about who's going to be able to establish the run better. And this year, thus far from what we've seen, the Vikings have just been doing a much better job at that. And they happen to be on a hot streak right now, rolling offensively and just winning a couple games here and there. I think they're on a 3-game win streak, and they're kind of threatening potentially a playoff spot if they win a couple more games. So that'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't think the Cowboys are going to win the control the clock game, which is what we really need to do to beat this team. Because if we can, and I mean, the blueprint's there, right? If we can feed the ball to Zeke and put up points on the board and finish drives, that's the big thing. It's not that we can't feed Zeke the ball sometimes, but it's like we get the run established, and then we get to the 20, the 15-yard line, and we stall, and we either settle for a field goal or we go for it on 4th down and don't get it, or we turn the ball over. And that's kind of been the story of the team this year. So we got to be able to finish these drives. And if we could do that, keep Dalvin Cook off the field, then I think we definitely have a chance. Like I said, the Vikings' defensive line isn't all that special. They do have a couple good players sprinkled in the defense, one being Eric Kendricks, a linebacker, really good. They have 2 good safeties. I believe it's Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris, I think is the other one. So that'll be something to watch out for. But their defensive backs aren't anything special, neither of them their defensive ends. And Ngakoue, I don't know if I'd call him a bust. I just don't think he's having that great of a season for what they expected, for what they paid him. If you're wanting a prediction out of me, I really don't want to give one, but I feel like I need to. So I'm predicting that the Vikings are probably going to win this one. I wouldn't be shocked if it's fairly low scoring, kind of like that Bears game. Not that we have the defense the Bears have. I just think we're going to attempt to run the ball and control the clock, and I don't think we're going to do a horrible job at it. I just don't think we're going to do good enough. So if we can kind of slow down the explosiveness of the Vikings offense and just slow down Dalvin Cook a little, then maybe, just maybe, we hold them to under 30 points. And I think this team is improving. I think we proved that against the Steelers. I don't think we're going to play as good as we did against the Steelers, but that doesn't mean that we're not improving, and it doesn't mean we'll play hard and we won't put up a half decent performance, right? So I'm guessing 28 for the Vikings to, I'm thinking like between 17 and 24 for us. So that's as close of a prediction as you're getting. Maybe I'll make another prediction later this week when I know a little more, when I talk to Steven, get his insight, his thoughts. Outside of that, guys, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button and click the bell in the corner for notifications as well. That way when I post a video, you actually see it, because I know the Cowboys aren't the hot topic right now in the NFL, and YouTube isn't showing a lot of people my videos. So also, don't forget to like and leave a comment as well. Let me know what you think about the state of the Cowboys right now, what you think about this game. Another guy I forgot to mention was DeAndre Baker, defensive back, former first-round pick. I don't know what the story is with him. Don't know if he got into some trouble or what, but he's been out of the league. Maybe it was like that rehab program or something. And Cowboys are considering bringing him back. Maybe he was just reinstated. We could definitely use the extra depth at defensive back, and at the same time, we wouldn't have to give him a million snaps and kind of throw him into the wolves. So that'll be interesting to look forward to as the week progresses. Guys, I think that's pretty much it. That's going to be it for today anyways. I'm going to bring, like Steven on, like I said, going to have the weekly predictions. Got a new podcast coming up with one of my buddies who's a big Buffalo Bills YouTuber, Dan Mitchell. It's going to be called the Kegs and Eggs podcast. That should be coming up in the next week or so. That's going to be really fun. Excited for that. Looking forward to it. And that's going to do it today, guys. I'm out. Peace.